would be fatal.
Bone Crusher was 27 years old when he had his first pro fight. Now the champion, Tim Witherspoon. And there is a question here. The simple fact is, we have seen fighters who have had other things on their mind besides fighting during the week of a fight, and inevitably they have lost. The same thing can be said for Tim Witherspoon. Well, if you had a tip, Ray, for these fighters, I think it probably would be get a lawyer and get there and fight. At a raucous Wednesday press conference, well, it was another boxer, Mitchell Green, who was the warm-up act, who aired his grievances publicly before attention then turned to other matters.
Keep on laughing, but your boy, stop. All right, so now I'm out here working and trying to do all these things. The worst blow that I can receive is for terrible Tim Witherspoon to question my integrity, to question my honesty, to question my performance in a manner that is being put out where all the press, everybody in the world knows about it, but me.
As far as what Timmy Witherspoon is obligated to do this Friday night, he was obligated, he was contracted, he had agreed to fight Tubbs. He was ready, willing, and able to fight Tubbs. He signed his name to fight Tubbs, and he would have fought Tubbs. I have not, to this day, seen a contract signed by Timmy Witherspoon to fight anyone else. That doesn't mean he won't fight.
Now the very hands that's feeding the mouths of those who are hungry are trying to bite me. I'm not going to let it happen. I'm not going to let it happen. There is going to be no fighter, no matter how big he is and how world renowned, when he makes an agreement with me, that agreement will stick. The free negotiations of saying, can we do something, always is there. Good faith is always there. But intimidation, legal extortion through the newspapers, I'm not going to be a party to that.
So Tim Witherspoon stepping into the ring for the first time in 145 days to fight his 6th title fight. It will be the second time he has fought James Bone Crusher Smith. He had a relatively easy time with him the first time. Only 2 losses for Tim Witherspoon. Larry Holmes, of course, and Pinklin Thomas the other. When Tim Witherspoon had something else, money on his mind. That could be the case again tonight.
Now, this is the second defense of Tim Witherspoon's WBA heavyweight title. He won the title from Tony Tubbs. He defended against Frank Bruno. And I don't know what the purses were. You know, let's say Tim says he was supposed to earn $2 million. I don't think it was that much. Could have been. But let's say he was supposed to earn $1 million. Well, Frank Bruno went home with more money than he did. Frank cleared probably $750, $800, or whatever it was. Tim Witherspoon went home with $90,000. Right? Don King and his stepson Carl King were doing the dual promotion and management thing with Carl King, his stepson, managing Witherspoon, and Don was promoting him. There was a conflict of interest, and one of the biggest reasons they have a Muhammad Ali act across the pond. Now we're talking 1986, and Don King basically had control of the whole of the heavyweight division. Most of the people ranked in any top 10 were Don King fighters. And we are entering the unification tournament, which Mike Tyson eventually won. In the first round, Witherspoon is supposed to fight Tony Tubbs, who he took the belt from. Tubbs had a dispute over what he was getting paid. And then all of a sudden, they bring in Bone Crusher Smith, another fighter Tim Witherspoon had previously beaten, and beaten convincingly in a non-title fight, unanimous decision. Now, one of the theories was back then was Tony Tubbs was a very gifted boxer, but he wasn't as big a puncher as Bone Crusher Smith. And in fact, Tony Tubbs had beaten Bone Crusher Smith on points. So the theory was they were trying to unsettle Tim Witherspoon with the late replacement. Plus, he hadn't been paid for his previous efforts, what he was due. So they were probably thinking it's a bit of a gamble, because if it goes over a few rounds and Witherspoon gets into his stride, Bone Crusher's punches chance is going to disappear and disappear as the rounds are counted off. But if they could unsettle Tim and Bone Crusher got at him early, perhaps an early stoppage could be on the cards. Now, why would Don King do this to Tim? Because Tim is making noise about his purses. Yeah? And the way he sees it, he was contracted to fight Tony Tubbs. He believes this is a setup. Don King wants to get Tim out of the way.
And another hard right hand, and Witherspoon's in a whole bunch of trouble here.
I believe that should have been called a knockdown. He went down to one knee,
You're absolutely
and even though he got quickly up, that was a knockdown.
And still just under 2 minutes remaining in this round. A long way to go. And down goes Witherspoon. Still not an ounce of perspiration on Tim Witherspoon. And he is not at all on solid legs. Smith swarms over him. Another right hand. Witherspoon's down again. We may find out about that 3 knockdown rule.
And we may find out about that excess weight.
There is not a 3 knockdown rule is the word that we get. Not as Luis Rivera said in the instructions. And Smith still right on his man. 1 minute remaining in the round. A long way to go. Witherspoon still in trouble. Down he goes again. And now it's over. Rivera stops the fight.
The fight is over. A monumental upset.
And I believe Rivera stopped the fight based on a 3 knockdown rule, which was not in effect.
I'm speechless now. I didn't think that would happen.
Tremendous upset.
But you know something, Barry? Tim Witherspoon was so lethargic. He got into the ring and there was no really life into him. And Bone Crusher Smith, you have to give him credit, he took advantage of every opportunity, was able to put Witherspoon down 3 times. 3 consecutive times.
It was the first punch of the fight that did it, really. Let's take a look at the first, literally the first punch of the fight, Ray. Smith just leaped out of his corner and was right on him with the right hand.
Bone Crusher knew that Tim Witherspoon was not warmed up. He raced across the ring and landed a beautiful right hand that put Tim down. It was a good move on Bone Crusher Smith's part.
And it looked as though Witherspoon was going to be able to weather that one. He kind of got his legs back under him, but then right back came Smith, rather.
When it seemed as though Witherspoon had regrouped and got himself together, that left hook there, again, put him in serious trouble, and he goes through the ropes again.
And I'm not even sure Bone Crusher Smith realizes the enormity of what he's just done.
Commentary team: Larry Merchant, Barry Tompkins, Sugar Ray Leonard. If you notice, they keep saying Tim didn't have no perspiration on him at all. He hadn't warmed up properly. Why not? How comes? Well, he was distracted. He shouldn't have been distracted, even with what was happening, because eventually it went to court. He got some money back from Dunn, but he was distracted. Now, listen, let's not pretend that it was easy for him to focus, because there were serious threats being thrown about, and someone is very powerful and very dangerous. I'm not going to say who, because I don't want him to get in my business. But Tim was not mentally right for the fight. You can't fight Don King, Carl King, and Bone Crusher Smith. You're taking on too much.
I don't know if this is an element or not of anything that had to do with the result tonight, but we talked about the fact that Tim Witherspoon came into the ring with things other than boxing on his mind. Now, we've seen that happen on numerous occasions. We saw it happen with Pinklon Thomas, and he got himself beat. We saw it happen with Tim Witherspoon one other time against Pinklon Thomas, oddly enough. And here it is again tonight, where the fighter himself is thinking about the out-of-the-ring problems that when he gets into the ring, he loses the fight.
Well, what happens? Fighters tend to branch outside of the ring, which is dangerous territory, because inside those 4 squares, that's all business. And especially when you give a guy like a Bone Crusher Smith a second chance to win the heavyweight crown, you're talking a serious opponent.
All right, Larry Merchant now is with, I'm sure, an ecstatic James Bone Crusher Smith.
Even Bone Crusher Smith knew that Witherspoon was distracted. It's almost like he knew what the attempted setup was. Check it out.
An ecstatic James Bone Crusher Smith. Larry?
Bone Crusher, I have to say congratulations. I don't ordinarily say that to someone, but to start a fight career at 27 years old is unusual, and to win a heavyweight championship is much more so.
I'm very excited. I'm glad I had the opportunity to fight. Tim Witherspoon's a good champion. He was a good champion, but I think his mind was on too many other things tonight, and I tried to take advantage of it, and I did.
The mind being on other things, you think he was just too involved with the money?
Yeah, I think so. I think instead of training and concentrating on me, I think he overlooked me. He really wasn't concerned about me, and I used all that to my advantage.
Now, let's turn our attention to Billy Joe Saunders and his unification fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez this Saturday. Is Billy fighting Eddie, the Las Vegas judges, the Las Vegas commission, because now his dad's talking about the ring is too small, or Cannoli? Once again, where are MTK and Daniel Kinahan in looking out for these details before Billy's signing contracts to fight? Where are they? Is this Eddie's fault as well? I haven't listened to the interview because I can't hear his dad bleating on right now. I can't deal with it. I've seen people in the comment section saying, oh, they tried the same thing with Tyson Fury and they didn't have it. It wasn't actually the ring size. Tyson Fury and his team were talking about the ring had almost sponge-like padding in it, not the ring size. So if you're going to quote things, at least know what you're quoting. In all fairness, there were some alterations made to the ring and the fight went ahead. Now, how far are Team Saunders prepared to push this? Are they going to pull out? Threaten to pull out? They've complained about no English judge, and he blamed it on Eddie Hearn when it's down to the Las Vegas commission, how the judges are selected. He spoke about his purse not being what it's supposed to be and that he was tricked into thinking that there wasn't going to be no crowd there. He said that Eddie is favoring Canelo over him, and then he got Tyson Fury to jump in. Is this perhaps a way that Tyson Fury and Billy Joe Saunders deal with their pre-fight nerves by just causing a whole load of drama? Fury rowed with the Klitschko's over the gloves, and he said the scales he was given on the week of the fight were calibrated wrong, leading Team Fury to think they was a stone lighter than what they was before they flew out to Germany. Well, in all fairness, it worked for Tyson Fury, and if it can work for Billy Joe Saunders, there's going to be a lot of us eating a whole load of crow. That's what you do when you get a prediction wrong, right? You eat crow. You know what I mean? A lot of people believe Billy has the boxing IQ to pull off an upset. Now, while I don't think it's going to be as easy to knock Billy out like others do, I don't believe it will be that easy. And I'm certainly not going to write off a Billy Joe Saunders victory, because in a one-off fight, a tricky southpaw could give us some angles that we didn't foresee beforehand that could trouble Canelo. Now, here's a few areas where I believe Billy potentially loses the fight. I don't think Canelo, despite the improvements he's made, will ever be a great volume puncher. He's accurate, he's good at picking his shots, but I don't think Billy can set a pace like another southpaw did on Canelo, Austin, no doubt, Trout. Just because we haven't seen it in recent fights, volume, I believe, will still be a big problem for Canelo. Go check the punch stats on how much jabs Kovalev threw at Canelo. And that's what kept him in contention. A lot of people had Kovalev ahead before he got knocked out. But I don't think Billy is about that type of game. Billy's going to play chess with Canelo. And he might have to learn the hard way that once Canelo gets your pattern and your timing down packed, he can make the adjustments like he did against Khan. I know Khan was a lot lighter, but can make these adjustments and then start taking over. Yeah, Floyd outboxed him without having to concentrate on throwing a lot of volume, but Billy is no Floyd. I've heard people say, yeah, well, if Floyd did this and that. Stop. Let's stop there, please. Stop embarrassing yourself. The more I've started breaking down the fight, I'm understanding why Billy might be so concerned about the judges. Because Billy has the potential to box well against Canelo, but not box the type of fight away from home that's going to get him a decision. Canelo has better ring generalship than Billy's giving him credit for. You see, if you go in there and box like Cotto did, and Cotto did a very good job at boxing, but Canelo had this aura. He was walking around the ring like he owned it. And he threw the bigger punches. And he seemed to put a better punctuation on what he did than what Cotto did. It's all about being a larger-than-life personality. Not necessarily outside the ring, but certainly inside it. And Canelo has that. He's learned a lot from Floyd. Learned a lot from that loss. If Billy starts panicking in there, because Canelo recently has got this thing where he just doesn't seem fazed by his opponents. And maybe I should give Golovkin more credit than I do. I think Golovkin is the only one who's kind of took him out of his comfort zone in the last 4-5 years or so. And to be honest, he didn't have it all his way with Danny Jacobs, despite what a lot of people say. If Billy boxes and he stays in that construct and it doesn't faze Canelo, and he starts doing out of character things like not setting up his jab to throw shots or leaning back when he needs to go side to side, he's in big trouble. He's in big trouble. And that's what Canelo's going to attempt to make him do, come out of character. And that's what Billy has to do to Canelo. Billy doesn't have to knock Canelo out, but he's got to hit him with some real shit shots that he can't see coming. Like, he's a southpaw, you know. If he can lead with the left without throwing the jab at times, if he can keep the action in small circles and keep Canelo turning, but stay in range, pop the jab, lead left, pop the jab, lead left, tie up. And if he has the concentration and the focus to do so for 12, then we're talking about a fight then. He's got to prepare to put it on the line as well. Unless he wants to go in there and just be a happy loser who could perhaps go the distance. But if he wants a W, he's got to go all out. And me, I haven't been so convinced by the 168 performances by Billy. I haven't been so convinced by them. I hear he's in good shape, and he's going to need to be, because he can ask his Matchroom stablemate, Liam Smith, what them body shots are like. He better be in good shape. And look, I can go into technical breakdowns of what I think is going to happen and try and make myself look articulate and really intelligent. Yeah. Well, it's the mentality. Like I say, in a one-off fight, it's possible Billy pulls it off. You never know. But do I see Billy, if he beats Canelo, taking on Caleb Plant in 3 months if the fight is there, and then defending in another 3 months and being consistent and putting on good performance consistently? No, I don't see it. I'm picking Canelo.
All the way, mate, all the way.
Billy doesn't have the gears, the punch output. He could make it an interesting fight, but I'm going for Canelo on points. Perhaps late stoppage.